Before we get into today's edition of Just the Truth, Mike Lindell sent me a note yesterday. He has a special for the 6-piece towel set, $25 when you use promo code Joey. Just go to mypillow.com, use promo code Joey. You'll get the $25 offer on the 6-piece towel set, and I promise you, these will be the most comfortable, the most absorbent towels that you own. mypillow.com, use promo code Joey. Get the 6-piece towel set for just $25. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition Studio to lose weight for the last time. Visit myphdweightloss.com. Welcome in on this Friday edition of the show. Glad to have you as we head into the weekend. Lots to cover today. Congressional Democrats yesterday warned that President Trump's post accusing several Democrat senators of sedition, punishable by death, would encourage political violence against lawmakers. We have the latest on this really crazy story out of the nation's capital. Cracker Barrel has had their share of the headlines this year, and the news wasn't always good. Yesterday was their annual shareholders meeting, and immediately following the gathering, the company announced a board member who has drawn controversy over his DEI background and has resigned effective immediately. President Trump is promising a $2,000 tariff dividend, as he calls it, real cash in the pockets of most of Americans, possibly hitting before the 2026 midterms next year. But members of Congress are saying, hold on a minute, not so fast. Are you ready for a bonus? Or would you rather have that extra money go towards paying down the nation's debt? That's the question for today. And Lieutenant Governor Pamela Abbott joins us on this Friday edition of the show as we head into the weekend before Thanksgiving.
I told you we'd be back.
And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
It's Joey Hudson.
I wanted to name it the Joey Hudson bill, but, they don't allow you to put names on bills. But I wanted to call it the Joey Hudson bill because I know that one's been near and dear to you for a number of years.
That's how it's done. Let your voice be heard.
And the truth shall set you free.
Here's Joey Hudson.
Washington hit another boiling point this week, and once again, it all centers around the same two ingredients. Politicians playing with matches and a country soaked in political gasoline, and those two just do not mix well. Democrat leaders Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries held an emergency press conference warning that President Trump's latest Truth Social posts were going to, and I'm quoting here, encourage political violence. Mr. Schumer even went as far as saying Trump was calling for the execution of elected officials. Now, let's just slow down here for a minute. What set all of this off? It wasn't some random comment or an idle joke. It was a video, a viral video featuring 6 Democrat lawmakers telling members of the U.S. military and intelligence community to refuse the orders from their commander-in-chief if they felt those orders were illegal. Now, that is a serious situation, folks, and it came right as Congress is grilling the administration over its strikes on narco-terror vessels in the Caribbean and the National Guard deployments into blue cities dealing with migrant crime. So President Trump responds the way President Trump responds. Blunt, online, unfiltered, calling the lawmakers seditious and traitors. Now, that's nothing new. He's used those terms before. But then he upped the language. He upped the ante, saying and reminding people that sedition is punishable by death, which is technically true. It's on the books. And that sent Democrats sprinting to the microphones. Chuck Schumer took to the Senate floor, gave one of the most fiery speeches we've heard from him in years. He said Trump is lighting a match in a country already drenched in fuel. He said Trump is explicitly calling for the execution of elected officials. Here's Chuck Schumer. Now, Hakeem Jeffries released a statement calling the post disgusting, dangerous, and unhinged. And he went a step further, saying he's been in touch with Capitol Police and the Sergeant at Arms to protect the lawmakers and their families. Now, look, we all want cooler heads. We all want civility. We all want political violence to decline in this country. But here's the part that Mr. Schumer and Mr. Jeffries did not mention. The entire firestorm began because 6 Democrat lawmakers filmed a video encouraging soldiers to defy the President of the United States. Folks, that's just not normal. That's not harmless, and that's not responsible rhetoric either. You can't light your own match and then blame the guy across the street because the wind blew your way. So let's put this in context. We've had 2 attempted assassinations of President Trump. The tragic assassination of Charlie Kirk just a couple of months ago. A massive spike in threats against members of Congress. Both parties, by the way. This is nonpartisan. Antifa attacks, campus riots, federal buildings repeatedly targeted, governors and mayors needing security details. The country is tense, people on edge, and everyone knows it. We all recognize this. So when one side tells the military to ignore the commander-in-chief, and the other side calls that sedition, and then Democrats pretend only one side is being reckless? Yeah, the American people, they see right through that. Let's not forget, for years, Democrats casually used words like resistance, illegitimate, stolen election, fight like hell, take it to the streets. They encouraged protests outside Supreme Court justices' homes. They raised money for bail funds. They excused riots as mostly peaceful. No lectures, please. If we're going to talk about dangerous rhetoric, then let's talk about all of it, not just the tweets you don't like, because here's the bottom line. This country is tired. People like Washington has become one giant performance art piece. And instead of solving real problems, the border, the inflation, crime, foreign threats, the political class is throwing gasoline and shouting fire. We don't need more panic. We don't need more press conferences. We don't need more finger pointing. We need leaders. We need leaders who understand that words carry weight, every single one of them. Whether it's a Truth Social post or a viral video telling soldiers to disobey orders, both sides need to stop treating power like a toy because everyday Americans, they pay the price. When politics becomes a battlefield, we all suffer. And suffering is the last thing our nation needs right now. It is time that the United States Congress, both houses of Congress, come together, and I know that's a far stretch, and there's certain things that they're not going to agree on. But this whole idea that every time Donald Trump posts on Truth Social or X or somebody else says something about the president, and this applies to both sides, we got to have a bit of civility. Yes, we got to stand our ground. We have to defend the principles of government that we believe in. But isn't this just kind of silly? At what point do they take it just too far? At what point do they act like the adults in the room? Joey Hudson here, and this is it. PhD Weight Loss is running their best deal ever for Black Friday, and it's happening right now. They're waiving your consultation fee, adding 2 free weeks to your program, and even covering the cost of your food. Just mention the promo code BESTDEAL when you call, and you'll get a discount I can't even say on the air. Every year, the holidays hit, the pounds creep on, and by January, we're all back at the gym. But what if you could finish the year already feeling lighter, stronger, and more confident? That's what happens with PhD Weight Loss. Their metabolic reset system teaches your body to burn fat first, naturally and sustainable. I lost over 30 pounds with PhD, and it changed everything. My coach helped me through travel, holidays, parties. I actually enjoyed the season and lost weight. So don't wait. For Black Friday only, they're offering their best deal ever. Consultation free waived. 2 free weeks. Their 5 steps to reset the scale book, and your food is absolutely covered. Call 864-644-1900. That's 864-644-1900. Mention Best Deal or visit online at myphdweightloss.com. Well, folks, the front porch of America had quite a week. I'm talking about the front porch of Cracker Barrel, that is. Now, listen, if you grew up in the South and you've ever done a long road trip with the family, you already know Cracker Barrel isn't just a restaurant. It's a cultural landmark. It's biscuits and gravy, chicken and dumplings, rocking chairs out on the front porch, checkerboards, and country music humming over the speakers. It's Americana at its best. But lately, let's be honest, Cracker Barrel has been in the headlines for all the wrong reasons, and today we got another twist. Cracker Barrel announced that Gilbert Davila, one of their board members and the guy at the center of the whole controversy, has resigned. This comes right after shareholders voted on board positions at their annual meeting. They elected 9 of the 10 nominees, and then poof, Davila steps down. Now, the official statement was very polite, very corporate, thanking him for his service, for his strategic plan, for his work, his leadership of the compensation committee. All that feel-good stuff boards say as they open the door for you on your way out. But make no mistake, this resignation didn't just come from nowhere. There was pressure building behind the scenes. Now, here's where the story intersects with the cultural moment that we're living in. Because Davila wasn't just any board member. He's a DEI specialist. And a whole lot of Cracker Barrel's longtime customers, the people who built the brand, the people who pull RVs into the parking lot and stop for country fried steak after Sunday church, we're all frustrated. You're frustrated. You've told me this. You've emailed me. You've texted me. We've had many discussions since all of the rebranding took place back in the summer. I mean, and you remember the logo flop back in August, that redesign that looked nothing like Cracker Barrel's heritage and instead looked like something you'd see outside of a mall smoothie shop or something. The backlash, you'll recall, was immediate. Conservatives, families, longtime customers, they rebelled. People said, this isn't Cracker Barrel. This is corporate America chasing fads. And that they were right. It's exactly what it was. And that pressure didn't just hit social media. It hit the stock price. It hit where it hurts most for a corporation like Cracker Barrel. And then Sardar Baglari stepped in. Now, if you don't know his name, he's an activist investor, big personality. He runs Steak and Shake and a few other ventures, and for 15 years he's been fighting Cracker Barrel management any chance he gets. This time, Baglari went right for the jugular. He told shareholders that Cracker Barrel's board is out of touch with its customer base, and he was right, because they were out of touch when they allowed this nonsense to take place back in August. He said they hired the wrong CEO. Their acquisitions have flopped. Their expansion strategy failed. And their new strategic transformation plan, his words, set the company back years. And he's right there, too. He wanted the CEO out. He wanted Davila out. He wanted the board shaken up. And look, you can call Baglari aggressive. You can call him abrasive. But some of his criticism, in fact, a lot of Cracker Barrel customers agree with all of it. Now, this wasn't just a little disagreement behind closed doors. This turned into a full-blown proxy war, we're told. Shareholders were getting letters, presentations, pressure campaigns, and even the big proxy advisory firms weighed in. Both ISS and Glass Lewis said, yeah, maybe it's time for Davila to go. Glass Lewis even recommended voting out another board member, Jody Bilney. They didn't go after the CEO, interestingly, because I think she should have gone too, but they definitely gave a thumbs down to the DEI crowd on the board. And when those firms speak, you got to believe shareholders listen. It's like the Moody's of corporate governance. So after the votes were counted, Cracker Barrel's board emerges with 9 directors, and Davila quietly exits stage left. Now, to be fair, Cracker Barrel didn't take all this lying down. They accused Baglari of running 8 proxy fights in 15 years. They called him disruptive, and maybe he is. But he was not tone deaf to what was going on in this case. They claimed that he spreads false and misleading statements and argued that his campaigns are really about his personal agenda. They said that they're focused on returning the company to growth, improving shareholder value, and staying true to the Cracker Barrel brand. And maybe all that's true. In fact, I imagine it probably is, because they saw the disruption. They saw the damage that the DEI effort back in the summer did to their company, did to their bottom line. That front porch charm, the family atmosphere, scratch-made meals, all the things people love. And honestly, that's what customers want to hear about. That's what they want to experience, not some DEI stuff. Cracker Barrel has a unique place in American culture. People don't want workified menus. They don't want hyper-modern logos. They don't want DEI jargon cluttering up a country store. They want comfort. They want that tradition that they love. They simply want their Cracker Barrel. That's all they want. They don't want it to be messed with, massaged, changed. Now, some of you might say, Joey, why spend 10 minutes on a Cracker Barrel board fight? Well, because this story is bigger than mashed potatoes and rocking chairs. It's about the cultural divide in America. It's about whether beloved brands stick with values that built them, that got them there, or they chase approval from consultants who don't understand their customers. Cracker Barrel's base is very simple. It's people like you and me. It's families. It's church groups. It's travelers, retirees, workers on lunch break. They're not asking for DEI revolutionaries in the boardroom. In fact, they don't care about that. They don't want that. They want good food, good value, and a place that feels like home. So this resignation, it's a sign that maybe, just maybe, for once, a board listened. Cracker Barrel listened. So we're going to keep an eye on where Cracker Barrel goes next, because they have some rebuilding to do. They lost a lot of money. Their stock value tumbled after this nonsense, as it should have. Do you think that by eliminating or having this board member exit the company, does that go a long way for you personally in repairing the damage that was done? Text me. Email me, joey@joeyhudson.com. I really do want to hear from you. I want to know, by getting rid of this activist board member who cared more about satisfying the left, the woke, than what you and I have done over the years to help build their company. He was more interested in that than keeping us happy, keeping America happy. By him leaving, does that help repair that relationship? If you're one of those who said, I'm never going back to Cracker Barrel again, will you change your mind now that the company seems to be taking action, that they've done something about it? Text me, email me, joey@joeyhudson.com. Leave me a quick message on the MyPillow message line, 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. Just leave me a quick message and let me know. And by the way, when you go to MyPillow.com, be sure and use promo code Joey. And now's the time to start buying those Christmas presents. Look, Thanksgiving's next week, folks. Christmas is just around the corner, and Michael and Dale has some great deals for you. The My Slippers, $39.98. They can be as much as $149 at times. Use promo code Joey, get the best deal possible. And I can't talk enough about the 6-piece bath towel set. You know by now I love these towels because they're so soft, but yet they're extremely absorbent. Buy multiple sets because, hey, right now, rather than $69.98, they're only $39.98 when you use promo code Joey. It's a two bath towel set, 2 hand towels, 2 washcloths. And for a limited time, you can get the 6-pack towel set for only $39.98. Call 800-893-4059 or simply go to mypillow.com. Always use promo code Joey and get the very best price. But I want to hear from you. Leave me a message on the MyPillow message line. Text me. Email me, joey@joeyhudson.com. Is this just a little too late for Cracker Barrel to earn your trust back? Or do you believe the company really is taking action to change things, to get back to the company that we have grown to love and appreciate over these years? You have to kind of ask yourself the question, though, is how did they ever allow it to happen? I mean, after the Bud Light, Dylan, what's his name, fiasco, and some of the others that have followed, you would have thought that when this DEI board member and whatever position he held, when he started talking about some of these woke changes he wanted to make, you would have thought that there had been a red flag go up and just literally hit them in the head, and they never would have let it gone any further. The fact that the CEO, and she kept her position, the fact that she's still there, are they really serious about going back to the company that we love? Or is this just sort of a little, well, we're trying, we're going to do better type thing? Do you believe them? Are you ready to go back to Cracker Barrel? Let me hear from you. Today, we've got one of those stories that mixes economics, politics, and a whole lot of kitchen table reality. President Trump has promised a $2,000 tariff dividend, real cash in the pockets of most Americans, possibly hitting before the 2026 midterms. And if you're thinking, well, that sure would help with some gas and groceries and the electric bill, you're not alone. A lot of Americans, he has their attention. Typical Trump fashion. He throws something out there to see if it's going to stick. And he's serious. He believes with all the billions and billions of dollars of tariffs that other countries are paying now, that you and I should get our fair share. But the big question today is America really ready for those checks? And maybe even more importantly, and actually more importantly, is Congress ready to sign off on them? Because that seems to be the sticking point. Turns out some Republicans, not the Democrats, Republicans are raising some red flags. So let's break it down for you. Here's the headline. President Trump says he wants to send $2,000 per person, low, middle, and moderate income Americans, funded not by taxes, but by his tariffs. We're going to be doing a dividend to the people, he said, of at least $2,000. Now listen, the idea of a tariff dividend is politically powerful. Trump's looking at inflation. He's looking at cost of living pain. And he's trying to give voters something tangible, something that they actually feel. And for millions of families, $2,000 matters. That's rent. That's groceries, Christmas money, paying off those credit cards from Christmas, car repairs. I mean, real life stuff. But on Capitol Hill, it's a different reaction. This isn't Democrats slamming Trump. This is Republicans saying, hold on, wait a minute. How are we paying for this? And let's start with Senator Tom Tillis in North Carolina, who will be leaving the Senate next election. Remember, he supported tariffs, but he's scratching his head now. I thought we were using the tariffs to retire debt, he said. And he makes a good point. This seems counter to that original sell job. And he's not wrong. The national debt just crossed, what, $37 trillion? We're at historic highs, the kind of numbers that keep economists awake at night and should keep you and me awake as well. Then you've got Blake Moore from Utah on the Budget Committee. He says we should be using this money to pay down deficits. And Jody Arrington, the budget chairman from Texas, very fiscally conservative. Paying down the debt is the real dividend, he argues. Lower debt equals lower interest rates equals lower inflation. So you see in the pattern here, Republicans aren't opposed to helping families, but they're worried that we're replaying the Biden-era stimulus mistakes. And that's the other half of the GOP argument, inflation. We all remember how Biden's trillions of dollars in COVID-era stimulus overheated the economy. These new checks, they'll pump hundreds of billions of dollars into the system again. Economists say that it could cost up to $600 billion, roughly double what tariffs are expected to generate. That's a big gap, folks. Regardless of how great it sounds, can we actually afford it? That's a Congress is absolutely going to approve this gap. I don't know about that. Even the Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, is trying to downplay this, telling people to save the money, to save the tariffs, and to pay down debt instead of spending it. Now, listen, I love the idea of investment accounts for kids. That's in Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill. Babies born between 2025 and 2028 get $1,000 in a government-seeded account. Parents can contribute more. But let's be honest, most families aren't saving a $2,000 check. They're using it to survive. Some Republicans are making another argument. If we're going to use tariff money for big-ticket spending, why not tackle health care? Obamacare tax credits expire December 31st. Premiums are going to spike next year, most likely. Republicans have proposals to lower costs through HSAs, reinsurance pools, free market reforms. Senator Roger Marshall, a doctor from Kansas, says he'd rather see tariff money go towards lowering health care prices than a one-time stimulus check. That's a very practical argument and a traditional Republican one. So here's where we get into the mechanics. President Trump can impose tariffs on his own. That's executive power. But cutting checks to Americans, that's going to require a congressional approval, a stamp from the U.S. Congress. Democrat Ron Wyden says the administration's explanations are all over the map. Republicans in both chambers are signaling they're not ready to rubber stamp this. Some like the idea, some hate the idea. Most want details. And frankly, President Trump wants this done before the 2026 midterms, which means the clock is already ticking. Now, let's talk politics, because this matters. Trump knows the economy is the number one issue for voters over 50. He knows inflation and housing costs are crushing families. He knows younger voters are drowning in debt and older voters are watching their savings disappear into higher pricing. So a $2,000 check right before the midterms, that would move the needle. But if Republicans block it, well, then you're going to have a political divide inside the GOP right as President Trump is trying to rally the country behind his economic plan. This is one of those moments where policy and politics is on a head-on collision path. So the question is, are Americans ready for a $2,000 tariff dividend? The real question is Congress ready? And even more, is this fiscally responsible at a time when the national debt is exploding? We're going to keep watching this. Right now, Republicans are split. Trump is pushing. Millions of Americans are wondering whether that check is ever going to arrive. What about you? Would you rather have the check, or would you rather pay down the debt? Text me. Email me, joey@joeyhudson.com. Your comments are welcome on the Furman Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY. That's 864-477-5639. Emails always welcome, joey@joeyhudson.com. Speaking of the Furman Ford text line, it's never been more important to support locally run businesses owned by people who actually live here in the upstate. Let me take a minute to talk with you about our friends at Furman Ford. If you're looking for a new vehicle, maybe a great pre-owned vehicle, one you can trust, or maybe you're looking to order that special vehicle. Either way, if you want a new one, a brand new one, or a pre-owned that you can trust, the folks at Furman Ford, they're there to help you. Their name is on the sign because their name is on the line, because every single transaction is important to them. Jim Furman, Matthew Furman. They do business the right way. When you stop by, when you give them a call, or maybe when you just send them a quick email, you're always going to have access to a member of the Furman Ford family. And by the way, they also offer great service, and you're not going to have to wait weeks and weeks to get it done. And you do not have had to purchase your vehicle at Furman Ford. Doesn't even have to be a Ford. They service all makes and models. Visit my friends at Furman Ford online at furmanford.com, furmanford.com. Joining us on our guest line, Lieutenant Governor Pamela Evette. Welcome, and how are you?
I'm doing great, Joey. I hope you're doing well, too. Are you getting all ready for Thanksgiving? It's coming. 1 week from today.
I am ready. I'm more than ready. I'm ready for the holidays. I just have this great feeling about going into Thanksgiving and then anticipating Christmas, and it's going to be a good year.
Oh my goodness, it really is. Okay, so let me ask you, because everybody's been asking this question to everybody lately. What is your favorite side?
Ooh, that's easy. Mac and cheese. Mac and cheese is my favorite side. Load up on carbs.
That's right. That's right. Well, I'm with you. That seems to be a fan favorite. When this question gets asked, like around the table, mac and cheese is a big one.
Yeah.
Mac and cheese is good. I'm kind of a mashed potatoes and gravy kind of girl. Some good turkey gravy.
And I also prefer the turkey to be fried rather than baked or roasted or whatever you call it. I like the fried, the fried turkey. It just keeps it moist inside.
Well, leave it to a man to take a perfectly healthy piece of meat and make it unhealthy.
Look, well, if I'm going to be eating the mac and cheese, I don't know how healthy that is. So I might as well just throw the fried turkey in there as well. So
that's right. Just throw all caution to the wind. It's a holiday.
Yes, that's right. It is a holiday. Well, I'm looking forward to it, and it is we truly have a lot to be thankful for. So it will be a fun time. More news out of the VC Summer project, with a federal judge this week signing off on a $34 million settlement with former stockholders who claimed that the accounting firm Deloitte & Touche misrepresented audit reports to show progress on the project that really wasn't happening. I guess this is good for the shareholders, but this is just a fraction of the amount of money, of course, that was lost. Shouldn't these firms, and there's already been some criminal indictments in this project, but shouldn't these firms be held criminally liable as well?
Well, I mean, yes, if you can prove that it was willful, if it was if there was collusion, between whoever they were working with on the project and themselves, I think, if you have bad people on the project, it's like any business person will tell you, stupidity is not criminal.
Yep.
And you have to be able to prove that it was willful. And if it was, Joey, I'm with you. I mean, we have got to really be tougher on the people in all forms of government, right, that we hire to do things. Because I can remember when I just got into the private sector, there was this idea that if you could do work for the government, you could overcharge and underperform because there was really nobody that was holding you accountable. And we need to do a good job of holding whoever we hire. I don't care, when government hires somebody, whether it's to build a bridge, to build a road, to build a building, to do accounting work, whatever the case may be, we should hold them to the same high standards that anybody would hold somebody to in the private sector. And that's why I have been talking so much about needing more business people in government,
Yep.
right? Because
Exactly.
as business owners, we would never accept that.
Yeah.
So, that's kind of my pitch. We've seen it with President Trump. He demands the same skill level and benchmarks that he demanded in the private sector. He's demanding, in government. And you can see he's had a lot of success because he's brought really seasoned business people into his cabinet. And they are really making a difference. I mean, the Democrats would have you think that, things aren't moving, but you talk to economists, everything the president's doing is moving us in the right direction. It's just the fact that people aren't patient. We allowed the Biden administration 4 years to, just mess up our economy. And we're giving President Trump 10 months to fix it.
Yeah.
So I think, like he's been saying, we have done and accomplished so many great things. Just be a little bit patient. Give him just a little bit of time to turn everything around.
Yep, he's good, but there are some limit. He's got a bunch of bureaucrats up there fighting him every step of the way, too. Which leads me to my next question for you. Lieutenant Governor Pamela Evans is with me today. On your Facebook page, I noticed a post that says we need to sunset the useless and outdated regulations that give too much power to bureaucrats and get in the way of business growth and innovation. What are some specific regulations that you see that should be eliminated?
Joey, there are so many regulations on the books, some of them so outdated. That's why I've been talking about, instead of going through one by one, we should sunset all of our regulations in bulk, bring them in front of the General Assembly, make them look at them. I mean, if we have a regulation that was written in 1950, do we really think it's even still relevant today? And, and then we should look at newer we should look at all of them, but on our newer ones, sometimes, and I think all of your listeners have felt this, if you call a state agency, if you call a federal agency, and you get 3 people, you may get 3 different answers, right? If regulations are written so broad that any bureaucrat can kind of put their own twist to it, then we need to tighten those up so that there is predictability. And when you call to ask a question to any government agency, you're going to, 9 out of 10 times get the same answer from whoever it is that picks up the phone. And so I think that's the most efficient way to do it. President Trump has said for every one regulation in this term, he said for every one regulation, we're going to get rid of 10.
Yep.
And the president knows it. This is once again the value of having business people in office that understand that some of these regulations slow things down, which is why people who are really upset about our infrastructure, President Trump and the One Big Beautiful Bill, is looking to cut out and eliminate federal permitting because it just adds to the length of time it takes to get these jobs started. And when you add time, guess what? You add cost.
Right. Yep.
And so efficiency drives down price.
Yep. Lieutenant Governor Pamela Abbott, it's always a pleasure to have you on, and we'll catch up with you again soon. Be safe out there.
Thanks so much, Joey. And I know I probably won't be talking to you next week because it'll be Thanksgiving, so I want to wish everybody a happy and blessed Thanksgiving. I hope you take this time to count all of our blessings, and the people around the table being the biggest one.
Yes, happy Thanksgiving to you and your family as well. That's it for today's edition of Just the Truth. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss Studios. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. If you haven't joined my mailing list yet, visit my website, joeyhudson.com. Click on the Connect with Joey button so that you can receive our emails and the most up-to-date news. Also, join me on my YouTube channel. Be sure and like, comment, and subscribe. Just search for Joey Hudson. As always, thanks for spending a few minutes of your day with me. Do me a favor and forward this episode to a few friends. Just click on the share button and send to your contacts. We need to build an army of conservatives to win our country back, and we can do that by continuing to share the truth with our friends and family. Keep those comments coming via the Furman Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY. Email to joey@joeyhudson.com, and I love your messages on the MyPillow message line. Again, that's 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. Be sure and take advantage of the MyPillow special, just $14.88 on the standard MyPillows when you use promo code Joey. Order online at mypillow.com or call 800-893-4053. We're back again tomorrow and hope you'll plan to join us. Until then, remember, God's got this. He's still in control.